Hi, I'm Kirby Dolak from LCTV, and we're here again with Nick Lawler on our next GM update for Watts and Drops. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Kirby. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you too, sir. We've got a variety of topics today, all of them relating to the water or sewer treatment facilities. Nick, let's just dive into this first one, which is the status of the water treatment plant there on Whitcomb Ave. Where are we with regards to operation, testing, any supply chain issues that still are outstanding, certification, you name it?
Yeah, dive in's appropriate right now, given all the rain we've been experiencing. Yeah, the project, Kirby, is coming to, I want to say coming to an end, but the end is long. It's called startup processes, and it's really the technical parts of the plant trying to make everything work with each other. It's a very complicated process inside there to clean water. We have all the parts. I think we talked, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, 4 months ago about supply chain issues, which is why you asked that question. There's 24 PLC cards, programmable logic controller cards that were, who knew when they were going to show up. They kept on saying 3 months and we'll see when they come type of thing. And then all of a sudden they showed up one day. I'm not sure where they came from, but we have them, and that issue's been avoided. So we're in the very technical part now, trying to work through the startup processes. We've already had some issues which are bound to happen when you're trying to go through these. So hopefully it's going to be, a month or two of working through the initial bugs of a new plant. And that's not counting the carbon filters to remove PFAS. That part comes later. That's probably later fall. We'll start working those processes through. But the construction is complete.
What about the water extension IMA, Nick, that we talked a lot about, was a topic of discussion for both communities? Maybe a little bit of detail of where we are with regards to the actual IMA agreement. Any other possible issues that you guys see as bumps in the road to making this happen? When are you going to start putting a shovel in the ground?
Yeah, I mean, this project's still very conceptual at this point. We're working through design right now, which is kind of a two-part design, because we're designing a new well at Taylor Street. And also, as part of that well is a transmission main from Taylor Street to the new Whitcomb Ave plant. And then some distribution work down Whitcomb Ave to the back, through Harvard for a little piece of way. And then down Campanelli's private driveway, Beaverbrook Road, where Cisco Properties used to be, to connect to the backside of Swanson and Codman. There's definitely still minor obstacles to work out. But the large one was that IMA, to make sure the two communities were aligned as we move forward with this project. It's a costly project, it's slated to come in around $19 million, which, got the finance committee heavily involved and concerned, as they should be with the borrowing of that size. But we've worked through all those details. A lot of the details revolving around how a betterment should be calculated, how it should be collected, who's responsible for it. All those fun little details got ironed out and put into the IMA. We're very happy that that part of the project's done, because now we can get to designing and constructing, which is what I prefer to be working on.
I'm sure that the folks over there on Codman and the other 11 groups, I should say, are very happy about this. I think looking at the Watts and Drops circular that just went out, Department of Transportation is picking up $6.5 million worth of this project as well.
Yeah, that was a big financially. There's two driving forces for the existing Littleton ratepayers: the fact that Mass DOT was kicking in $6.5 million, and also the fact that it's being borrowed on a 0% loan. So financially, it made a lot of sense, but it doesn't mean there's a lot of details that don't need to be worked out, which obviously it was quite public. If you go to either select board meeting, it would have been discussed. It was discussed at least at our finance committee meeting. So at town meeting, the issues that we were working through were very public issues, and I'm glad that we were able to resolve all of them.
Yeah, it's nice, one community helping another where it can on this particular situation.
Yep.
Now, moving to the less or more odoriferous side of the fluids, talking about the sewer treatment plant there off King Street. Tell us where we are with that, and then we'll jump into the pumping stations as well.
Yeah, that's right. As you remember, there's really two distinct parts of this project, one being the treatment facility, the water resource recovery facility. There's the new age people like to call it. I still call it a treatment plant. And then the collection system, which involves 2 pump stations and all the pipes, both force main and gravity sewer that are in the streets. And as part of the collection system contract, we often forget to talk about, but there's also quite a bit of water work being done there as well, replacing some water mains that are giving us problems or are due to be replaced as they have the roads open. So I guess jumping back to your original question, the treatment facility at 242 King Street, we've already started that in some ways. We've demoed the old barn at 242 King Street, which was in the way of the construction, and really where the drainage basins are going to be as a finished project. So that had to go. We worked very closely with Mass Historical, Littleton Historical on demolition of that barn. We were able to salvage some of the beams, which we're working very closely with them now on what to do with those beams, because now that we have them, rather than have them rot away, we'd like to do something productive with what we salvaged from that barn. And then soon, probably the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting getting the site ready for foundation work and cement work, which they're hoping to complete a good portion of that before winter, because that gets really tough to do in winter time. But that site, there is a lot of water they got to deal with that site. So I think it'll be a tough dig for them.
Nick, can you give us a little bit more information about that collection system, particularly as it comes out of the school's property and then into that community right there? How will that impact the roads, and how do you see that work being divided up between the crew and also LELWD?
Yeah, but we're still working through those details with Rivoli, who's the contractor that awarded that part of the bid. But they're out working right now. They've already started last week through the end of June out in Russell Street in the middle school parking lot. They're working at the pump station, one of the 2 pump stations. That one's going to be an upgrade at the Russell Street pump station behind the middle school. So we've already caused some traffic issues there trying to deal with that, which is going to be a few along the way. It's obviously a very involved and tough project to get completed. They'll be working on that during the day. So they're going to have 2 crews working in the beginning of this project, one during the day out of Russell Street and kind of working through the path that ties Russell Street to Shattuck Street Town Hall. That whole line gets upgraded as part of this project. And then they'll have a crew working at night. Most, if not all, the state road work has to be done at nighttime. Because per the Mass DOT permit, if they're taking a lane, they have to do it at night. What
streets are going to be impacted with that, Nick? That's one thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah, King Street for sure. From the high school to the 242 King Street, then back over the bridge again, going to the Common, to about not all the way down to the Acton line, but Westford line, but pretty much down that way, past through the Common and past Il Forno. Great Road a little bit. Going west on Great Road from the Common, it's not a large build there, but going east towards Acton, it will be extending down to the daycare where that Village on the Farms development never got built, but basically right about there is where it's going to go up down that end of Great Road. And then some local town roads like Russell Street, Shattuck Street, trying to think of any meeting house, some up and around the Common will be impacted, but it's mostly the state roads.
You made reference, Nick, to gravity versus just a forced system. Can you give an example of where the connection is going to be gravity and where it's going to be a force? Because as soon as you started explaining the extensions off of the Common, I can imagine that's a forced, but maybe gravity. So can you give us a little example of what those 2 examples would be? Yeah, we try to use gravity wherever it was feasible. One, because it's free once you put it on the ground, you're not paying to pump it. But basically, you need topology to work in your favor for this. And basically, everything from the Common will be gravity to that pump station at Russell Street. And then Russell Street's going to pump it from there to the treatment plant, 242 King Street. Anything else as far as additional properties that Littleton may have? Yeah, I know Littleton Companies has purchased 410 Great Road. I think it might be what you're referring to. That's not an easy connection because of topography. If you think about where that sits as it relates to 500 King Street, it's down quite a bit. So that would need a pump station if that was to connect. We did sign a sewer capacity agreement with Littleton Companies, which was very important for the commissioners to have that
documents signed before we awarded any contracts, because obviously when you're awarding contracts, the whole project is going to cost $47 million. You want to make sure your biggest user is committed to the project. And the polling companies always indicated they were committed, but until we had a signature on a document that A, allocated the usage to them, 150,000 gallons per day, and B, assured us that they'll pay that through the betterment process, the commissioners really were concerned, just because who knows what could happen. You could have World War III and all of a sudden everything turns upside down, and to no fault of anybody else involved, we could be building a project with no user. So we have that now, and he does have certain rights in there that allow him to transfer that reserve capacity to other properties that he may own, but it has to adhere to obviously Mass General Law, which comes into play here because there is a betterment assessed to these properties and has to be approved by the Board of Water Commissioners. So there are some safe stops there to make sure it's done properly.
Now, you've kind of touched a little bit on the pumping stations. Do you want to give a little bit more background about how those have to be upgraded and installed with regards to collection as well? So
there's only two right now in the design. One at Russell Street, which we kind of just talked about. Right now that just receives some town flow, town hall, fire station, and then it pumps to the high school. That's where the current plant is. So obviously with the additional flow requirements in the common, that pump station wasn't designed to handle that type of flow. So that needs to be upgraded. And then we need a new one at the high school, because currently you have a plant there, so there's no need to pump that sewage anywhere, but the plant's moving. So we need, and it, again, the gravities are working in our favor for that install. So we have the pump from the high school to 242 King Street. How about the status of the leach field, discharge field there at the high school? Is Onyx about completed with that project? Yeah, they're just about completed. We're trying to get the sod down, and this rain didn't really help us with that. So they haven't got the sod down yet, and they're waiting for it to dry up a little bit before they get the sod down. But that's kind of the last step that they have to do. Do you think that'll be firmly grounded, so to speak, for use this fall, Nick? We're hopeful, but we've been working closely with the schools on that. We're trying to set expectations for the spring. Hopefully we get a normal amount of rain and not the deluges that we've been getting, and not a drought. We're hoping that it would take by fall. But the schools really value that field, so they want to make sure that when they bring it back online, that they don't destroy it because they rushed it. Anything else from the GM perspective you want to share with the residents, Nick? No, did we forget anything? I don't think so, Kirby. I think that's good enough. Anything on the electric side by chance? We've been talking a lot about water and septic. Just that the department continues to be recognized nationally for their efforts. They got Diamond Level RP3, Reliable Public Power Provider, which is a national designation for a lot of different things, being reliable, having good culture and succession planning, staffing stuff. It really embodies everything that a public power utility should be embodying, and to be recognized at the highest level is a true acknowledgement of the great work the employees here do, well beyond what I do. I don't do much when it comes to RP3. That's everyone else here that really feeds into that. We got honored again as a smart energy provider, which talks about all the energy efficiency, environmental initiatives that we participate in. And there's like less than 100 utilities in the country that get that designation. So I know we have Connor Reardon here that really brings attention to that part of the world to our department, which is helpful. We're still out, replacing poles, installing tree wire, which we've been over several times in this program, but in case people forget, that's a insulated conductor. So it can take a tree contact and not blow a fuse and not lose power. So the crew's been working around every week on that type of stuff. Just really trying to improve our reliability best we can, because it's long-term investments in capital infrastructure that pay off when it comes to reliability. I noticed that Dave Ketchen recently met with the emergency crew and had a conversation about how they can work with LELWD. Can you tell us about what that meeting was about? Littleton Volunteer Corps. Yes. And he did a great job. It's a great group here in Littleton that wants to benefit the community in time of need when these emergencies happen. And, it's really more how to operate around electricity safely and what happens during an event. And from what I understand, Dave did a great job with that. We had a regional, speaking of that, we had a regional mutual aid tabletop exercise last week that a bunch of us attended from Littleton, which was a real good exercise to go through what would happen in a regional mutual aid event. And while we're on the topic, we also had a crew go to Navajo Nation again this past year. For some of the crew, I think one individual was the second time going. Which is a real moving experience to be able to provide power and electricity to somebody that's never had it. It's a great professional development opportunity for our crew and a great humanitarian effort to be part of.
Sounds like, as usual, LELWD does a fantastic outreach job, not only in our community, but as far away as the Navajo Nation, or as we found in Florida not long ago as well. Again, compliments to you and to your staff and to your crew for all their efforts. We look forward to more updates, get us moving along here. I'm certain that the folks up around Whitcomb Ave are going to be ecstatic about having nice, clean water to use. And we look forward to the ribbon cutting for that particular event and covering it. So thank you very much, Nick, for spending the time with us today.
Thanks, Kirby.